Maestro. Well, you know what? You're a man of many talents. Thank you for inviting us to your home today to have this wonderful chat. I don't know if you've met Kami. I'm sure that you're...
I've heard about her. Kami just, when I met her, yes. I just taken aback. She's just a wonderful person.
Thank you. And I wanted to bring a token from all of us. As you know, we are celebrating 60 years of existence. So this is a small token.
As you know, LUCELEC is at this time celebrating 60 years of existence and of powering the nation effectively. And for a very significant period during that time, you were one of the figures that loomed pretty large. You were the managing director. Let's take this journey together.
My passion was always something to do with electricity. And I did math, physics, chem, science subjects at St. Mary's College. After getting the scholarship, I traveled to Glasgow. I was enrolled at Glasgow University, did a 4-year degree in electrical power engineering. And on graduation, I didn't think I knew anything about the power business. So I sought an opportunity with the then Electricity Board of England. And happily they gave me a job. I did everything, Ernie. I dug holes, I mopped floors, I made tea for my colleagues. I was the youngest man on board. Everybody could have been my father. And I was the only black person in sight among a group of maybe 30 or 40 engineers. And I had a wonderful time. They treated me like a son and everything went beautifully well. The first thing they gave me to do, the supervisor gave me to do, was to mop the floor. So there I'm a graduate engineer, and I've got a mopping floors and buckets, and all the young technicians are working on the machines. And I didn't mind, I mopped the floor, and it's something I brought back with me here. When we started our program with the young engineers, everyone was required to mop the floor.
Including?
Everybody.
Trevor?
Everybody.
Oh my goodness.
Without exception. And this was mandatory.
Trevor never said that in his interview that I had.
Well, they had to mop the floor, I tell you that, and they all did it willingly.
Mr. Theobalds, you remember this face, don't you?
I can never forget it. Trevor, always a pleasure. Trevor, you look well, I have to say.
How are you doing?
I'm enjoying myself, and I had this surprise visit with Kami and Ernie, and we had a wonderful session this morning. And the question, I said to them, just like me now, you're retired. So after, 20 odd years at LUCELEC, you left a legacy. I mean, I think we all did, but you left one because LUCELEC still ranks as among the top utilities in the Caribbean.
I think the training that we got when we joined the utilities was perhaps critical to our foundation and most likely in our success in our endeavors.
Who was your brain trust at the time, like your core team at the leadership table?
There was an engineer, all these are older people. Charlie Duquette was in charge of the transmission system. He was an older man too. Donna Lalse came in, was in charge of customer services. In those days, they did all the metering. Then people like Alfred Felix ran the power station at Union, and Matthew Solibus ran the power station at Viewfort. In those days, the system was quite disparate. There was no interconnection. But the biggest problem LUCELEC faced was money. And on many occasions, we had to argue with the fuel companies because they threatened to cut off supplies of fuel because we just couldn't pay them. And that was part of the problems that LUCELEC faced in those days.
So at the time, you're struggling financially, so to speak, even though you have this ownership structure. So tell us how you're able to surmount that.
It was a long struggle, and very simply, the problem was getting bills out. In those days, all bills had to be written by hand on a small adding machine. Now, LUCELEC probably had about 12 or 15,000 customers in those in 1977. But everybody wrote bills by hand. Girls sat down on an added machine and added up the units and calculated what it cost and added them by hand. And almost never in a month you would get those bills out. So the problem was getting bills out. But not just getting bills out, bills had to get to the consumer. So how do you get to the consumer when there's only one post office in Castries? You have people all over Saint Lucia who are using electricity, and the problem was getting the bills to them. And eventually, what we arranged is that we delivered the bills ourselves. Eventually, we brought in Price Waterhouse out of Canada, and they were said to build. Nobody makes bills by hand, and they recommended an IBM machine that was the first billing machine, the first computer in 1978 or thereabouts. It was a wonderful machine, and the beauty of it was it got the bills done. You could print all the bills, you read the meters, and within 2 days, all the bills were printed. This mural was done very early in the days of CARILEC Power Station by the Santoma family.
Well, the Santoma family, famous for murals.
And we thought we wanted something to highlight what we do and what the employees are.
So I have one question. It's always the famous little LUCELEC man. Was that done under your watch?
We told the staff we wanted something like a logo.
Right.
And we asked everybody, can you come up with some ideas of what we would do? And it turned out Matthew Solibus, who ran Vieux Power Station, suggested a little man with a hat, and it stuck. The economy was booming. The demand for electricity was growing at something like 30% per annum. Bananas were booming. The tourism was just starting. It was booming. There were housing developments, Entrepot, Saint Lucia, Ridley. They were building the marina at Rodney Bay. The West Coast Road was being built. The big hotel at Vieux-Fort, Carlton Days, was being built. And Hess Oil had started work at CARILEC. So it was a great time. Everything was booming in Saint Lucia. And it was a wonderful time. Everybody in the Caribbean wanted to be in Saint Lucia in those days.
What would you consider to be, one, your most stressful, challenging moment at LUCELEC? There may have been many, but is there any that stands out? And two, most memorable milestone?
We had an office on Brazil Street in the 77, 78, until we built the office at Saint Lucia. And I remember it was Christmas Eve, 1982. And we were all going home. It was literally a half day. We all left the office and we were going home, and I was walking down the square. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening, and people were all over the streets shopping. Christmas Eve, as I tell you. And the power went off. Blackout. The whole of Castries, the whole island was blacked out because of a breakdown in plants at Union. And the blackout situation was probably the most stressful thing I went through. Okay? And Christmas Eve, happily, there was no disturbance. St. Louis was well behaved in those days. We all went to Union Power Station. Everybody, every engineer, every employee turned up at Union Power Station on Christmas Eve to help. Not that we were doing anything at all, because we couldn't. The mechanics were there, and we just gave moral support. The most memorable occasion, when we got the award as being having the best power station in the world. CARILEC, in fact, there's a plaque at CARILEC that reads out that, when you go to CARILEC, I'll show it to you, it probably is still there. It said that CARILEC was the best diesel power station in the world. And that was an accolade for everybody, everybody.
So now we're building out. So we're going through the journey. We're trying to take our fast tour. Where are we first in ownership structure?
After we built CARILEC Power Station and the system was unified, so we had 3 power stations, all interconnected. So in theory, Vieux-Fort Power Station could ship power to Radway and vice versa, because all fed into the network grid at the time. And things changed dramatically. Blackouts stopped automatically. Funds were available we had computers, everybody had a computer on his desk, so money was not a concern after that. The company was growing fast, selling electricity. I'd say all the new developments, Rodney Bay and such, came on stream, so we were making money. And one day, John Compton called all of us to get John Compton as Prime Minister. This would have been somewhere around the early 1991, 92, thereabouts. And he said, listen, I want Saint Lucia to own this company. CDC was very happy with things as they were because they were getting 52% of the dividends of LUCELEC. The governor's getting about 48%. And John Government says that wasn't a satisfactory arrangement. He would like to see St. Lucians, private people, own the company. And he insisted that the company go privatize and sell its shares. And even this was done in 1994. I remember Desmond McNamara was chairman, and he led us into the privatization process. And every LUCELEC employee was given credit to obtain a certain number of shares. So everybody had a stake in the company, all the shareholders, all the employees. And we sold shares to the public. In fact, shares were oversold. And we end up with about 2,000 or 3,000 shareholders. The structure then became CDC 42%, 40%. Government, city council owned somewhere around 15%. Government owned 12%, and the rest were owned by private people. So CDC sold its 40%, 10% went to a company called Emera, 10% went to a company in Trinidad. I think another 10% went to various institutions, and the last 4% was sold generally. I think NIC bought some more, National Insurance Company bought shares, That's right. So it's a very diversified company with nobody having absolute control over the company.
You were honored with a scholarship program in your name.
Yes.
Yes, and I believe a few persons have gone through that. What's that for you personally?
Well, actually, the board offered to name the building after me. I disagreed entirely. I said, no, I didn't want a building named after me. Is there anything else you could do? Well, now Bernard, we can name a scholarship after you. I said, perfect. And they named a scholarship after me, which is the Bernard Theobalds Scholarship, which I understand has been given to a number of people.
Mr. Theobalds.
Look who's here. I remember you.
Yes.
You came to see me after you won the scholarship.
Yes. Well, it's been about 10.
It's a long time. It's a long time.
It's a long time.
Well, good to see you.
It's good to meet you.
So you settled into LUCELEC now?
Very well. I'm actually no longer in generation. I'm in the planning department now.
Are you?
Yes.
You mean they've removed you as an engineer? I was looking forward to having female engineers on the team.
Well, I'm still an engineer in planning though.
In part of planning?
Yes.
I see. The idea was to go study, mostly at UE, I think, to study engineering, a technical subject. It had to be a technical subject. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud that you did that.
The relationship goes way back in that since we had the installations program, which was that craft program, and LUCELEC sponsored a lot of the students coming here. They did the craft program, and after that, they were still on attachment. They still worked with LUCELEC, so that was a good thing.
But does the company still sponsor programs here at the school and send its own employees? I mean, this isn't an after-work study program. It's a full-time.
We are full-time, and we also have the after-work installations where we do the part-time.
Education never ends. It is the root of all development, and you just have to continue it. There's no end to it.
During your tenure there, one would have still had a very, very male-centric workforce, I'm assuming.
Well, funny enough, the outside teams are all male-centric. The power station was all male-centric, the overhead lines were all male-centric. But funny enough, women ran the office. People like Carol Josie and Christine Williams and Pamela Joseph, and so they ran the office. They're the ones who did the billing, and they worked with Gilbert Joseph, who was one of the last surviving members of the old company. Gilbert came from Soufriere, and he took over the accounting side, and the girls worked with him. I haven't seen you. How are you keeping?
It's a while, but I'm keeping fine, and you also.
Gilbert, I remember my old days at LUCELEC with you, man. I had the occasion to tell Carmi there are only 3 people left alive from the pre-LUCELEC days. That's yourself, Edward Felix, and Marcus Oliver.
But Meryl is there and Cade. Don't forget Cade.
Cade. Well,
Meryl started with the city council. Cade started with the city council. But Meryl is down these days.
That's only 5, so still 5.
But Cade is up and down.
This brings back memories, Gilbert.
Yeah, brings back memories. When we first moved in.
I remember Anton Moddeth was looking after this.
Yeah.
Planting flowers, planting things. Remember when we wanted to slap this drain for parking?
Yeah.
And planning would not approve it.
Planning did.
What's the flavor of this one, anyways? It looks like it's chamomile.
And that's what I did.
So what do you use to sweeten it though?
We use sugar, but I do have honey if you prefer honey.
I love honey. I love honey.
So let's have a little honey in that.
You're now retired, always in your flowery shirts. You're definitely enjoying it. So what's retirement like for you?
I'm enjoying myself. I don't pay any attention. I have my time to serious work has passed. I have no really interest in going into anything serious. I thought I might become a consultant because I was young. I was only in my late 50s. I was not quite 60 when I retired. But that didn't serve any purpose to me in the end. And I spend my time gardening and writing. I write a lot. I don't publish a lot, but I write a lot. I've written 3 books so far. And I publish. I make what I boast. I make the best pepper sauce in the world. So if you're interested in pepper, I can make you a bottle of pepper. It's the best pepper sauce in the world.
I'll take you up on that.
And I use all kinds of ingredients. I use honey. It's become very popular. I give all my friends and family pepper. So I'm into gardening and planting fruits and trees and things. As you can see, there are fruits all around the yard. These cisterns were connected to the HES firefighting system, which is all foam. So if there's a fire here, you don't want to use the water on electricity.
I'm sure you gentlemen know each other.
Get right
Absolutely,
contact.
sir. How do you do?
I'm good to see you. Glad to see you. I think I know a few faces here. Not everybody, but
You know quite a
there
few.
are full faces here. Gary and so and so. Where's Jenny?
Jenny's here.
Right there.
Who was
That's
not here
my
when?
ladies.
Who was not here when you were here? Let me see. Hester. Hester is our finance and accounts
That's
manager.
accountants.
Gilroy Pulte, who you would have mentored in the earlies, and who was also mentored by Trevor, whom you mentored. It looks like the gift that keeps giving. What would your advice to him be?
Times change, and what I went through can't be compared to what they're going through. Times change completely. I don't even know what their issues are, and I don't inquire, because he has to make his own way. He has to decide what the future holds, just like we did in our day. And you can't take yesterday's times and try to become today's times. And I would hesitate to give him any advice. He's best. I'm sure he's capable. I'm sure because just like Trevor learned his way. What I say, and this is just universal, you must have a team with you. If you don't have a team with you, you're lost. You must have a team with you. And that's the only advice I would give. Build a team around you, and together you can achieve anything.